Let's meet tonight's party panel. We've got the host of the Sharp Way Show. It is Larry Sharp. We've got Democrat strategist, radio host, and Fox News contributor, Leslie Marshall, and host of Lawrence Jones Cross-Country Saturday nights on the Fox News channel. Lawrence Jones is back. So, Lawrence, I will start with you. We have so many problems here, but people are either going way too far, like Lindsey Graham, or they're completely unserious and defensive, like AMLO. So what do you do?
You know, I credit you, Kennedy, for actually proposing a solution to the problem because, as we know, fentanyl is the #1 killer for ages 18 to 45. And part of it is, it's not like these kids are running around saying, hey, I want fentanyl. They're taking oxy, they think they're taking oxy, or any type of other, like, things for depression, and they're getting fentanyl. They just don't know. And I find it very strange that some states won't even make it legal for the kids to have the testing strips to test the drugs before they even do them. They are now calling that drug contraband, and that's illegal. So it is a real problem. I blame a lot of it on Mexico and the combination between their government and the cartel because they do business together. But I also blame the American government as well for not being aggressive enough of providing kids with the treatment that they need. Yeah. Part of the reason why we're seeing this is because of the pandemic. And these kids are depressed. They were isolated for so many years. And we're seeing it do a number on their brains. And they need help. Yeah, and they're not getting appropriate mental health help. We're also not getting people into rehab appropriately. You know, you're seeing that in Portland. Like 1% of the people who are busted for crimes that may be related to drugs, they don't go to rehab. Like 99% do not go to rehab. We're not doing it right. Like we've talked about this a lot on the show, the Portugal model, but there is something that's missing in this conversation because both parties in the U.S., they are addicted to the war on drugs.
You know, I was just saying in the green room, I think this is an issue where a lot of us are going to agree. I agree with you on this. I have 2 teenagers. I saw incredible, I can't say it on TV, she'll kill me, but I saw situations with my children that I'd never seen before during lockdown. I saw them, I saw their friends being depressed, and sometimes the school would be like, well, we're going to kick them out if they can't get their GPA up. You know, they couldn't think outside the box, and that's part of the problem. We don't think outside the box, not just when it comes to our kids, but when it comes to drugs. I lived in Mexico years ago. I love Mexico, it's a beautiful country, but it's a very, very corrupt country. And the cartel and the government, all the way to the top, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but it's true, have been in bed together for a very, very long time. And, you know, whether the military is afraid of the cartel, the police are afraid of the cartel, the politicians and the people are afraid of the cartel. And they're murderous business people. And I'm sorry, you can drop bombs on the Zetas and the Sinaloans and the newest gang that we just have out of Puerto Vallarta, and it's not going to stop them.
What does stop them, Larry? I mean, you talk about this
all the time.
A lot.
All the time. And I want to make a small correction. It wasn't the pandemic that did this. Leslie's correct. It was the lockdowns that did this, right? The lockdowns is what made our kids all of a sudden be in big trouble. But not just that. If you had a mental illness and you didn't have an addiction problem, after the lockdowns, you had both. If you had an addiction problem, you didn't have a mental health problem, now you have both because we were lonely, we were all by ourselves, and systems in communities, they don't have the institutional knowledge to support people anymore. They fall back to government, and government failed us. And that's why we have all these problems right now. We can make it work. When it comes to Mexico, though, Mexico's basically a narco state, right? Just like Russia is a...
I mean, but that's my worry, that it has been hollowed out. And, you know, to Leslie's point, like, they have gotten to the president as they have in the past.
100%. He's decided to run it, which is what Putin does for his, you know, Russian petro state. He does for his Mexican narco state. And eventually, when we stop our dumb war on drugs, all of those thugs who are now cartel thugs will become union thugs because Mexico's actually building on a manufacturing base that's actually now competing with China. Our hope is in the future, Mexico will get their money from manufacturing instead of from drugs. Because the reality is, sadly, I disagree with you. Want to disagree? I will disagree. These kids want fentanyl. They absolutely do. They're looking for it. They want it. When you are an addict, and if you have an addict in your life, you know this, addicts want the harshest stuff. And if they know fentanyl...
I don't think so either. I think it's easier to get fentanyl into this country.
I think the majority of the people that are taking this, it's not an overdose. It's a poison. They don't know that they're getting fentanyl. Yeah, they have no clue.
And also, it's the inexperienced users.
That's exactly right.
And that's why, like, I share Leslie's fear. It's like, I've got a senior who's going to college next year. I'm going to send her with a gift certificate to Bed Bath & Beyond, if they still are in business, and test strips. Because I don't want her putting any of that stuff in her body, but I'm I'm not going to be there.
Kennedy,
and college kids are not the brightest bulbs.
Tomorrow morning, I'm leaving to go to Miami to do a special on spring break. And I cover spring break every year, but this year is very dangerous because these kids, they experiment. They're just testing things out. They don't know what they're getting, and they want to have a good time. And there was a point in time where there were drugs that they could take, and you knew the microdosing and all that. I'm not saying that people had choices back
Drugs
then.
are bad, okay?
But now, it's poisoning.
You don't know. Like one dose of what you think is
a eraser.
Oxycodone.
Let me be clear on this, though. Look, you're talking about a couple of kids who are making mistakes. Yes, but we're taking 100 people a day dying.
150.
That's not
all right.
100 kids.
The panel,
that's 100 addicts.
The panel will be back in moments. And speaking of MAGA world, President Trump is on the campaign trail. But it seems like his mind is still very much stuck in Florida. During the speech in Iowa Monday, the former president mocked his potential 2024 rival, Governor Ron DeSantis. Watch.
Ron DeSantis strongly opposed ethanol. Do you know that? And we don't even know if he's running, but I might as well tell you. If he's not running, I'll say he was fine on ethanol. Don't worry about it. And to be honest with you, Ron reminds me a lot of Mitt Romney. So I don't think you're going to be doing so well here, but we're going to find out.
We're going to find out Mitt Romney. Of course, DeSantis hasn't announced a campaign yet, even though he was also in Iowa last week. That's so weird. You guys go here? And a new CNN poll of Republican voters has Trump and DeSantis neck and neck, 40 to 36%. So is Meatball Ron getting under Trump's skin? The party panel is back. Larry Sharpe, Leslie Marshall, Lawrence Jones. It's L night on the SS Canadelia. So I can't get enough of it. I know Republicans might feel torn, but as someone who's an unaffiliated voter, please keep it coming. Keep the cards and letters coming, gentlemen.
Well, look, as someone that despises politicians, I love them beating each other up. But look, I think the Republican Party should take notes from 2016. Whenever they have a primary, and the Dems can do this as well, whenever you have a strong primary, you're going to have a strong general election. It prepares the candidate. And honestly, I think there's really an ideology fight going on in the Republican Party. They need to have this duked out. They need to figure out what they believe. And I think this election is going to do that. I wish the Dems would do the same.
It's going to do something, Leslie, because the polling is all over the map. You know, you get one set of polls one day that say Trump's up by 30%. You get, two more polls, and I don't know if you can call them outliers that say that Trump's only up by 4%. So what are we seeing?
Well, we see a lifetime till the election. 1, 2, we see popcorn sales for Democrats like myself going through the roof watching this, because this is going to be, in a sense, a repeat. Only it's going to be part 2, because my prediction is if Donald Trump doesn't get the GOP nominee, he's going to say it was rigged. He's going to take up all the oxygen in the room doing that. That's going to be problematic for who
and
would
run
be
third party.
Possibly.
See, I think Democrats, they keep saying that because they love that idea.
Well, hey, we had Ralph Nader so many times. We love the idea of having
We also had Ross Perot.
Even if he doesn't run third party, he's going to mess it up, I believe, for the Republicans. And if he is the nominee, Joe Biden is going to beat him again. I'm putting that on the record. But aside from that, you only have 6% when it comes to Haley and Pence. This is something that will never happen. Nobody took my advice. Hillary Clinton should have made Bernie Sanders a running mate. She would have been so far over the finish line in advance, and Donald Trump should make DeSantis, or whatever his name is now, Don DeSantis his VP, or vice versa if DeSantis becomes the nominee.
See, that's the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. Y'all squash the opposing view, the outsiders out.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz said that. She said that the superdelegates were set up to squash outside candidates.
Saying great things about Charlie Crist and calling him DeSantis is not squashing him or trying to squash him out.
I'm just saying.
Donald Trump has to attack DeSantis, because what Trump gets most and anybody else doesn't get, when people are in trouble, whether it's economic, whether it's social, whatever it is, particularly Republicans, they want strength. They don't want resume, they don't want policy, they want strength. And he exudes strength over anything else. If DeSantis cannot defend his attacks and counterattack in a strong way,
he doesn't have to yet,
he loses.
He's not in the race. he will get so much more press for counterattacks, especially if they're not effective. Rand Paul got sucked into that. So did Marco Rubio. So did Chris Christie. And they all fell by the wayside.
Absolutely.
They could not beat Trump at that game. So
that's his strength.
DeSantis has to figure out how to
I have noticed a difference in the Trump strategy as well. It looks like he is talking a little bit more policy. And you can thank Joe Biden for that, because at the end of the day, no matter how harsh Trump is, people vote based on how they're feeling. And when you have 70% of the American public saying they aren't better off, that we're heading down the wrong direction, I mean, they may miss what was going well from them. Because remember, they didn't vote for Joe Biden because they were better off. 54% of Americans said they were better off under Donald Trump. They did not like his tone and tenor.
But it's easy. But they did. But if you can thread the needle, figure out the policies with a more palatable demeanor.
He can't help himself.
Never say never in politics. Look at the last two presidents we've had. Party panel, thanks so much. Larry, Leslie, and Lawrence. Beautifully done.